Hello, family. I'm Sierra Paniwa from BC Dad, and here today I have Bud Johnston. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Bud Johnston. I'm an enrolled member of the Bad River Band, the Lake Superior Chippewas. We're a little tribe up on Lake Superior. I spent a lot of time with Grandma and Grandpa and my uncles learning a little bit about the ways of our people. And it was always a big deal to protect Mother Earth. Dad taught me at a real young age, when we'd go out hunting, step over the branches. It shouldn't look like you ever were here. Leave everything the way you found it. And that made a big impact on my life.
That's awesome. You're awesome. And Bud Johnston, he's a really cool elder. He is the caretaker for the Pipestone Monument in Minnesota. Him and his family, wife Rana and daughter Camis, and they go to different educational places and teach different things like dream catcher making, and they educate the public about that Indigenous people are still here, and it's a really beautiful thing to spend time with them at their home, and I'm just really grateful to be here, and so I wanted to interview him. As many of you may know, I have a book called The Seventh Generational Prophecy, or The Seventh Fire Turns to Water, about the seventh generational prophecy and the transformation that is happening on earth at this time. And to gain the knowledge and the wisdom orally from our elders to reach the younger generation in this time, it can be done through video. So I'm really grateful for this and the internet for that reason, because there are a lot of young people searching for the connection back to our roots and our ways, especially the city Indians. There's a lot of us looking for that connection, and I pray to bring these kind of videos with elders to teach them to help teach them the old way and the oral traditions. Even though it was never recorded, this is a way that we can reach our young people. And so, Bud, what does the seventh generational prophecy mean to you?
Well, the seventh generation prophecy fits right in with the Mayan prophecy that years ago they kept saying, great change is coming, be ready. And in recent years, the same groups of people have said, great change is upon us, be ready. And when we're talking about 7 generations, we're really talking about everything on Mother Earth being at least sustainable for at least 7 more generations. The people are supposed to come together. One of the Sioux prophecies that one of the old spiritual guys that crossed over not too long ago shared with me many years ago was that the world would be united over the pipe. Well, if we were going to do that, then we'd have to quit judging you from the color of your skin or the color of your eyes or the color of your hair if we were going to bring the world together. And that kind of fits in with 7 more generations. If you teach the kids, and they have something to teach their kids and the grandkids and all those other people that actually see the value in protecting the trees and the rocks and the grasses and the water especially. The water is the blood of Mother Earth, and what's going to happen to us if we don't have the water. So it all kind of comes together on the 7 generations idea. And really, I think that's even too short. We need to protect it for like 20 or 30 or 40 generations.
Yeah, I know, right? But in consideration, the life force energy that sustains all life, and to build the relations with the earth, it's a really beautiful thing. Thank you. And as we build relations with our earth and our cultural ways and our cultural identity, we are also building relations with ourselves and each other, And how do you feel like in this time of healing, in this time of transforming our identity, how do you feel we can love each other better through these particular times in history?
Well, I think the most important thing, and it kind of fits this whole concept of 7 generations, first off, you need to find out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be proud of who you are. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you're Dutch, Scotch, French, Irish, tribal, whatever you are. Mm-hmm. Find that out for yourself. Use the term love yourself. And then you can go out in this world and help others. Or if you're not sure about who you are, what little you've learned, you're not ready to share with anybody because they might steal it from you. And
yeah,
that's a real thing
mm-hmm.
that we get involved in mm-hmm. quite a lot. Where if you're confident in who you are and what you've learned, and something I learned quite a few years ago, and it bothered me at first, one of my teachers told me many years ago, the word tradition is only the person who taught you. It doesn't go back any further than that.
Hmm.
And that bothered me a lot. When I was in the ceremony with my people have what we call the Mede, or the Midi-Weewin Society. It's an invitation-only spiritual group of people. And there's lots to talk about that, but I'm not going to get into it. But one of their big things was use everything with respect. Stop and say thank you. And keep it all hidden years ago. But we did this one ceremony with one of the spiritual people from Sault Ste. Marie quite a few years ago. I mean, they brought a whole busload of people down to bless our facility. We did a sweat with them. We did a bunch of ceremonies. And this one ceremony she was doing, and I have a lot of respect for the Midi-Weewin Society because my grandpa was one. Mm-hmm. She's doing this one ceremony, and I said, oh, that sounds like a Sioux ceremony. Oh yeah, I like some of theirs better than ours, so I do them. Well, if you didn't know any better, you would think you were part of an old Midi-Weewin Society program. And it wasn't at all. It was something she got from the Sioux spiritual group she worked with years before. So that kind of fit what my teacher had said about tradition only goes back one generation, the person who taught you. And that made a heck of an imprint on me. But the idea of respecting everything on Mother Earth isn't really that hard. My grandma was an herb doctor, and she taught me at a very young age. If you wanted a leaf off a plant, snip it off with your thumbnail so it don't suffer too much. And put a little tobacco down and say, thank you, I needed that for a medicine I'm making for so-and-so. If you needed a root plant, pull it out real quick so it didn't suffer too much. Put some tobacco in that hole and say, thank you for giving up your life because I needed this for a medicine for somebody. Just showing that respect for that little, piddly little plant that you just pulled out of the ground. Saying thank you for that gift. Saying thank you for that tree that's sitting out there that's giving you shade. What does it take to take a second and just say thanks? I don't care if you want to say thank you to the Creator, if you want to say thank you to that rock for giving you a place to sit, or that tree stump that you're sitting at to eat your supper.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
All those things are all part of this 7th generation idea where we're going to feel good enough and confident enough about ourselves to share that with other people. Because you're not going to worry about them thinking you're crazy. You're one of those type of thing.
Yeah.
Which was a big, big thing many years ago when the Christian society came along oh, those people think that everything's alive and that everything has a spirit. They're screwed up. Only people are that way.
Yeah.
Where we found very, very much to our own amazement that a grape orchard will produce more grapes if you play nice soft music in your grape harvest.
Yeah.
They've proven that.
Yeah, they have.
The water will change its frequency when it hears nice music. Does that mean everything's alive? Everything has a spirit? Maybe. I believe it does.
Yeah.
When you can make a molecular study of a bottle of water by listening to the music that's going past it, watch it change its frequency. That's huge. And for a grape to get twice as big because it's hearing pretty music,
Yeah.
that's crazy, but it's real.
Yeah, that's real.
And those are all part of all of this seventh generation of our world as we know it.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of cool that the scientific community is starting to look at, well, wait a minute, they weren't that crazy.
Yeah, it's something that was like pushed under the rug for so
Well,
long.
for sure, generation after generation. I mean, that's why they started the Indian school thing in the first place, was to get rid of all of this weird stuff these tribal people did on this continent, because they were the right people. We had to do it their way.
Oh man. And you could still see that like right or wrong mentality even leaking into the traditional ways, so to speak.
Well, you see it all the time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our tribal people are doing the same thing, even though they don't comprehend it that way. Well, you're doing that the wrong way because you're not doing it my way.
Yeah, where did that come from? The Catholic schools.
That's
You're
right.
so
That's
right.
And
Yeah.
trying to put that all away and understand that what you're doing is your way and it's coming from your heart if you're doing it a good way. And if you do it a totally different way, that's your way. That's all. You don't have to try to tell me to do it your way. You just have to be comfortable knowing that your way works for you.
Yeah.
And keep it that way. And if somebody asks, you can always say, and this is kind of a rough thing right now too. Somebody might see you doing something and maybe they might say, oh, that's an Ojibwe thing. Well, that's not true. That's my way, not the Ojibwe way. Yes, I'm an Ojibwe or Chippewa or Anishinaabe, whatever word you want to use.
Yeah.
But what I'm projecting is from me. It's not from my people. I learned a lot from my people.
Yeah.
And I followed that.
Oh, yes.
But the way I project it is from me.
I see what you're saying. And that brings like the uniqueness and the harmony between each other's, personalities and creativity, like individual creator's essence that we all carry. And that's what makes us beautiful, is our individuality. Like you and Rana were telling me before, is your elders will tell you all these things, but it's your choice on what you take as your own, and then you're going to take what you take from what they teach you and then create your own way.
That's right.
It's not necessarily, and you could have many teachers in that case. And I can see a lot of elders being like, oh, you have to have one teacher, but that could be very limiting,
It can be very, very limiting, especially, I use the term a lot, what touches your heart is for you. And if you are taught by a hardcore person, I don't care what group it is, whether it's the Catholic Church or the Anishinaabe or the Blackfoot or the Crow, if you are focused on that little way of doing this, even if it don't feel right to you, then you're not finding what touches your heart.
Yeah.
And that makes it just like being a Catholic. I was raised a Catholic. You kneel down when you're supposed to kneel down, you stand up when you're supposed to stand up, and you sit down when you're supposed to sit down. It has nothing to do with anything in your mind.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with what that guy's doing up there in the front. You just know everybody else is kneeling down now, so I better kneel down. Or you're going to look weird.
I see. So it's like a mentality type of thing too, but there I feel like there is a balance between, you know, the traditional ways per se, what our elders have taught, in the sense of like honoring the person who's, you know, maybe running like the ceremony or holding space for that particular ceremony. So like taking off your moccasins when it's necessary in every circumstance that you can, when you're not in charge of, you know, a large group of people. And even when someone's in charge, it shouldn't be them being dominant or being controlling or having the same characteristics as colonization. And I totally understand what you're coming from and where you're coming from with that, but there has been that way for a while, like, to maintain the sacred space. So like, you know, no mixing medicines is something.
Well, I think there's
right.
merit in that too. If you have a dominant teacher, like you just said, and this is almost universal with all the tribes that I've worked with. We've got members from 35 different tribes. Taking off your shoes and going barefoot for a ceremony is almost universal.
Yeah.
Because you're finding that connection with Mother Earth with your barefoot. And that might sound really stupid to many, many people, but it's a universal feeling from numerous tribes. Well, when you're doing a ceremony, you should, or if you're just going to go for a little walk, take your shoes off, go barefoot, and reestablish that connection with Mother Earth. Going out and working in the garden, you're connecting with Mother Earth. Remember to say thank you for that plant. Even when you pull weed out, hey, I'm sorry, you gotta go. No, I don't need you here. But thanks for being alive. I mean, that sounds really dumb, but you're taking a life. Even if it's a life you don't want nothing to do with.
So you're saying even like in our whole walk and journey in the human vessel on Mother Earth, we should be in that mindset of taking off our moccasins and honoring like the ways of this planet.
Well, yeah.
Like that.
I mean, something is dumb, and this is dumb. If you go to the gas station and you fill up your gas tank,
Yeah.
do you say thank you to Mother Earth for giving you that gas?
Wow, shoot! I have never. I should do that next time. I should really do that. That's her oil.
I mean, think about it.
Wow.
That's part of Mother Earth too.
That's very humbling. I thought I was doing a pretty good job out here. Right?
But so many things we take for granted. You know, how
We
many
do.
times when it starts to rain do you bitch because it's raining and you want to do something else instead of saying thank you to Aniliki, the thunder beings, because we needed that rain,
Yeah.
and ask them for forgiveness, maybe. Maybe you need to rain a little more, or say thank you, I needed this rain. I will stop them back tomorrow.
Well, speaking of the thunder beings and all the earth relatives of ours, you know, has Mother Earth, has she been speaking to you at all about what's going on and anything
Oh yeah,
you wanna...
there's so much going on right now, and I'm not sure what the spiritual significance is of it, but Mother Earth is shaking. She needs our support, and many people are starting to feel that, and they're coming around saying something big's going on. You know, what can I do to help with the water? What can I do to cool this planet down?
Yeah.
Anything, or heat it up. But people are starting to realize that without Mother Earth, we don't have a place to live. Where are we going to go?
Well, they're trying to go to Mars.
We all got a couple $1 billion. We'll just jump on the ship and go to Mars for free, right?
Don't go underground either. You never know what happens there.
No.
Okay. And so this brings me to my next question. You know, how do you feel we can bridge the gap between the old and the young?
I think doing talks is I call it cracking a doorway open. If you say something to a young person about a certain way that you were taught to do something, and that touches their heart, they might say, well, no, I want to learn more about this. And they might go, like you said, on the internet and see what they can find. Or they might find an individual they can talk to. And so many people today, it seems like, are starting to feel like it was weird years ago if you said you saw auras around people. Oh, you're one of them weirdos. Where today, many people, like out at Pipestone National Monument, you can go out there and you can see prayer ties hanging all over the place. Because somebody stopped there for a minute and felt an energy that they maybe never felt before. Wow, this is really cool. What do these Indians do? Well, they make a prayer tie sometimes and they put that down. It's a way of saying thank you for this place touching me. And maybe on your morning walk, if you don't just put your head down and go for your walk, if you just go for a walk and look at that beautiful cloud, hey, that looks like an eagle looking down on me from the cloud this morning. Or maybe you'll see a person standing up.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll see anything. You don't have to have much of an imagination sometimes to see something on a tree. Gee, there's a funny looking knot there. Or gee, that tree looks like there's a person sitting there. Look at that head that's sticking out. And the big thing is taking that minute to feel. And when we can do that, we've made a big impact. Just like my daughter Camus likes this water song that she sings quite frequently. These two people, a grandma and a granddaughter, were working at the casino. And they had to hurry up and get to work every morning. They jump in the car and they drive along Lake Superior and go to work. And the grandma said one time, well, you know, we should really say thank you to the water for being here. Well, how do we do that? We're busy, we got to get to work. And she developed that water song so they could sing that as they're driving